All right, let's dive into some really fascinating new research coming out of Harvard, Microsoft, and GitHub. It's all about how generative AI isn't just changing what we produce, but the very nature of how we do our jobs. So we've all seen the headlines, right? AI makes us faster, more productive. And yeah, that's true. But the real story, the one this research gets into, is what's happening underneath that productivity boost. I mean, what actually changes day to day when an AI assistant joins your team? It all starts with a problem that I think many of us know all too well. You're great at your actual job, the coding, the writing, the designing, and what happens? You get promoted. And suddenly your calendar is just jam-packed with meetings and administrative stuff. This study asks a pretty profound question. What if AI could fix that exact problem? So to figure this out, the researchers found the absolute perfect laboratory, a massive real-world experiment that, believe it or not, happened completely by accident. The setting for all of this is GitHub. Now, if you're not familiar, just think of it as the world's largest digital construction site. It's this incredible place where millions of software developers come together to collaborate on everything from tiny little apps to the foundational code that runs our entire global economy. It's a huge deal. And the tool at the heart of this whole story is GitHub Copilot. It's a generative AI that works right alongside a developer, kind of like an expert coding partner that never needs a coffee break. It suggests lines of code, it completes whole chunks of logic, and basically helps turn ideas into working software way, way faster. And you can see it right here in action. I mean, look at this. On the left, a developer just starts typing the name of what they want to do, and on the right, bam! Just like that, Copilot instantly generates the entire block of code they need. It's a massive shortcut, and it really gets to the core of what this AI does. So Copilot started rolling out back in mid-2021. But the key moment for this study, the thing that created this amazing accidental experiment, comes in June 2022. That's when it launched for general access. And here is the absolutely brilliant part. GitHub made this secret, internal ranking of the most important open source projects. Developers working on projects that fell below a certain line on that list, they got free access to Copilot. But those just above the line, they didn't. And because nobody knew the rules or where that cutoff was, it was basically random. It created a perfect natural experiment to measure the AI's true impact. Okay, so what did they find? Well, the results point to something the researchers called the great reallocation. And it wasn't just about doing more work, it was about doing a fundamentally different kind of work. Let's just look at the data, because honestly, this graph is the headline of the entire study. You see that vertical line? That's the secret cutoff for free access. Now, just watch what happens right at that line. Coding activity shoots straight up, and project management takes a sharp nosedive. It's crystal clear. And here are the hard numbers behind that graph. Developers who got AI access increased their coding activities by over 12%. But at the same time, they slashed their project management time by nearly 25%. They were literally taking time away from managing and putting it directly back into their core skill. So we know what changed, but the next really interesting questions are, how did this happen? And who did it affect the most? Well, the first big reason was this huge shift towards independent work. With AI helping them solve problems on their own, developers spent way less time on all that collaborative friction, reviewing other people's code or assigning tasks. Instead, they spent more time just pushing their own code and starting new things. The AI really cut down on the need for so much back and forth. And get this, the effect was just massive. Developers with Copilot access collaborated with nearly 80% fewer peers. That's incredible. They could just focus and get work done in much smaller, more concentrated teams, or sometimes even completely on their own. But it wasn't just about working alone. The second major change was this pivot from what researchers call exploitation, which is basically just refining what you already know how to do, to exploration, which is all about learning new things and trying new stuff. With AI acting as a kind of safety net, developers just got more adventurous. They explored, on average, 15 more new projects than their peers without the AI. And on top of that, they increased their exposure to totally new programming languages by almost 22%. They were actually expanding their own skills in the process. But, this might be the most surprising and honestly inspiring finding of the whole study. It's who benefited the most. The study looked at developers with all different skill levels, And consistently, as you can see from these taller bars on the left, it was the lower skilled or less experienced developers who saw the biggest positive changes. This really suggests that AI can be a powerful tool for closing skill gaps. It can be a great equalizer. So let's zoom out. What does all of this mean for the future of our jobs, for our companies? Well, if AI empowers individuals and cuts down on all that management overhead, it could lead to flatter, more agile companies. It could seriously reduce burnout for those key experts who are constantly being pulled into meetings. For things like open source software, it means more people can contribute. And maybe, most importantly, it could free up time for the real innovation and exploration that drives everything forward. And if you want to put a dollar figure on it, the researchers ran the numbers. Just by helping these developers learn new skills, they estimated the AI could boost their collective value on the job market by about $468 million a year. That's a huge economic impact. Which really leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question. If AI starts automating away routine management and empowers every single person to do more on their own, what is the role of a manager in 5 years? What does that job even look like? It's a question I think we're all going to be answering very, very soon.